finally, into the inner sanctum. Now where was I? Yes. Skip forward a couple of 100 years, give or take, and Lucius Ranius Optatus, the local head honcho, spots that the peasants are still hanging about the place. Alistair, what and why, and indeed, what is that doing in your possession?
All these weeks searching. The sentinel artifact in the flesh, so to speak. Mine. Mine for the
All this sentinel jazz seems jolly important. Why aren't you handling it yourself? Almost feels like it's waiting? Yes, that's it. Laying in wait, what?
All right, chaps, no time for lollygagging. Tally-ho!
And, might I add, taking more than their fair share of our remaining supplies with them. Not to mention the last 4 bottles of that devilishly saucy red. And if I find that, what did you call it, sentinel artifact, that I'm to bring it to you. And my poor Vino, alas, gone before your time. And so soon after we caught our first tantalizing glimpses of the sentinel artifact, too. And these artifacts, all spoils from your expeditions, I suppose? And they certainly went out of their way to seal it up tight as a drum. 2 weeks to bypass 2 stone doors. Oh, stairs. And while Arctotus's troops vandalized the place, there's evidence of a later restoration. And you'll cover the cost of the whole dig? Anyway, more fool them, say I. This place truly is a marvel. Vast natural cavern. Anyway, what makes this place so remarkable is its one jolly great earthwork raised by Neolithic tribes, a place to store their stiffs thousands of years ago.
As sure as my name's Sir Archibald Voicelines Smythe, a shiny Headley to the lucky blighter who finds that door first!
As we delve ever deeper, one cannot help but be struck by the sophistication of the construction of this place. At any rate, it's clear there's been continued occupation long past the mound's Bronze-aged origins.
Be a good egg, Potts. Stash it somewhere safe, there's a good fellow.
But Alistair, how on this green earth did you get hold of it? But also an oasis of beauty and wonder. I wish you could have... No, I wish I could have told you all about it. But still, when one conjures Neolithic Europe to mind, it's more... I say, where did that bloody great henge spring from? Unless... whatever this is. But the subject matter, that's from a much, much earlier period. But they all bally well look the same.
By Jove, it is! Potts, you know what this means? By Jove, Potts, that's some damn fine shooting. Damn fine, good man.
Oh, by Jove, this Bordeaux is the cat's meow. Don't tell me it's the 1870. Caesar comes along, all render unto, well, me actually, and shoves the bally Greeks out of Massalia, a little to the east of here. Certainly makes a chap thick, what? Damn it all, Marjorie. Potts was my Batman, has been for years. Chap simply doesn't expect his valet to up and leave that way. Damned impertinence. No wonder I've only a crate and a half left. Damn it, Rhodes, you knew enough about this place to keep away yourself, didn't you, you bloody bounder? Dashed decent of you to have me out to the country pile for a spot of shooting, what? Dashed odd. Dashed odd. Dashed rude, if you ask me.
Dash thing turned the other thing into a completely different thing.
Day 8. My dearest Marjorie. Day 14. Marjorie. Comma. Dearest. Ellipses. Day 19. Day 23. Dear Marjorie. Dearest Marjorie. Despite a false start or two, good progress is being made on the initial excavation. Dearest Marjorie, I fear I may be losing the trust and respect of the men.
Dog my cats, it's more of those bitey blighters. Stand fast, lads, here they come. Doth mine eyes deceive? Is that the other piece of the staff of ice?
Egads! Are you fellows all right? Ever since the incident with that damned aero trap, which, let me tell you, simply had no business being operational after all these years. Excellent. Well, I shall commence my preparations at once.
Extinguish the flames, froze the crystals.
Fascinating wall markings, these. Yes, indeed. One wonders at their purpose. Still, plenty of time for that. Gives me the willies. Brr.
Good show, all. We gave those horrors what for, what? Ha! 2 heads are better than one complete and utter torch, eh?
Having carefully block and tackled our way into the main site, exploration can finally begin in earnest. Why, yes, Potts, I would fancy another little snifter of sherry. Most kind, most kind. How strange. Is that a handle? Or a lever, perhaps? However, the statuary in this shrine rocked me in my boots, literally blew the old socks off. They're clearly classical Greek in origin. I can hear it singing, Marjorie, calling to me. I will have it, or my name's not Sir Archibald, etc., etc. I fancy you could still hear their screams echoing about, if one were to put their minds to it. I have somehow made it down into the very bowels of the Barrow complex. No thanks to Potts.
I say, chaps, did you see how many limbs that creature had?
I increasingly find them clamming up and peering at me quite disagreeably when I pass them at their travails. I mean, who's going to fasten my cufflinks and straighten my dicky bow now? It's an outrage. I might just have a little sit down here. Just a short breather. Yes, that's the ticket. I rather don't suppose you are.
I say, this thing is positively thrumming, what? Never felt anything quite like it. We'll make a proper adventure of you yet, Archie, old man.
I say, have you been at my Bordeaux? You and I shall have words about that later.
I say, is that a decanter? Oh, that damned Potts must have squirreled it away.
I say, this is quite the private archive you have here. I shiver to imagine what foul rites were conducted here. How many sacrifices demanded by long-forgotten gods. I should have taken you for your whole damned cellar. I tell you what, Potts, it is jolly stuff in here, isn't it?
I think that's the last of those twisted little leggy blighters.
I'm certain they snaffled everything of value and desecrated the rest.
I'd hazard those winged abominations rather thought they had our number, what? I'd like to think my pheasanting days proved a somewhat unwholesome surprise for them, eh?
And in the coming days, I'm confident we'll uncover the path the Romans took into the depths, and thence the very sentinel artifact itself. Is that a first edition of Description de l'Egypte? It is my profoundest hope that these recordings somehow make their way out of the depths of this hellhole, and thence to your sweet hands.
It means that unless you remember to pack some jolly old acetylene, we might be bloody well stuffed.
This was right next to our cargo on the dock. Judging by what personal items and grave goods remain, I would say members of a priesthood or religious caste. Let's just put you back where you belong. No harm done, eh? Lord only knows how far below ground we are, how extensive the surrounding cave complex might be. Man has no backbone, nor fortitude of upper lip. My flabber is absolutely ghasted. The nerve! Memories of a nightmare, buried deep in the hush of the place. Mind your step, that's a good fellow. Certainly don't want you tripping and breaking your neck, what?
Mother.
My dearest Marjorie, this, I suspect, may well be my final diary entry.
My word. What sort of glowing beauty are you, then?
No. I suppose you haven't.
No, couldn't be.
No sooner were we through the last stone door, he announced that he and half the remaining men had had it with the whole Bally expedition. Well, not for reading, I should hope not. It's practically a magnifying glass. Not publish. Not alert the happy scribes of the Royal Archaeological Review. Not mark the occasion with even an inch of print in the Times. Now, here's the thing. In Trench 5, up in Optotus's tomb, we've only gone and bally-well found evidence of those executions, haven't we?
Now, if one isn't very much mistaken, and I assure you one really rather rarely is, this spiffy thing right here is the head of the Staff of Ice. Now, if only my good old-fashioned British intuition were firing on all cylinders, I'd have the faintest first clue as to how to bridge that void.
Now, look here. I've told you I genuinely thought that mummy was one we'd excavated fair and square. Now, look here. I've been more than reasonable. No, keep those grimy claws to your...
Now, I must have done something. Oh, good gravy. Someone pick him up. You can't leave him here. Poor beggar's been insensate since the moment those horrors showed up.
Oh, good Lord, how do you read with this?
Oh, I say, how in the seven hells did I get here?
Oh, I should say so. Wasn't it old Flinders' dig at Tanis? Only a handful of the men remain. But by the way they stare at me, and by the rumbling in our stomachs, I fear they mean me ill.
Onwards and upwards!
Or how the devils who built this temple, because that's assuredly what it is, knew it were here.
Our quarry lies beyond the so-called door to nowhere, which I'll admit does sound bally strange.
Potts! Damn your eyes, man! Where the devil are you? Load the motor car! We're off! Potts? Is that you staggering about over there?
Potts? Potts!
Potts? You damnable rabble, is that you? By Jove, you'd better have at least 2 bottles of my claret with you by way of a peace offering, or... probably not. Probably took those pagan devils hundreds of years, what?
Rumco got everything he deserved, what? Still, a spot of thought might be just the...
Shouldn't be surprised, I suppose. The ancient Egyptians were well into their obsession with building bloody great triangles in the middle of the Bally Desert by the time this went up. Sir Archibald Fotherington Smythe's personal diary, day 5. So, when they say, we'd rather not, old boy, he butchers them, then sends his men down into the depths of the earthwork to desecrate everything they can lay their hands on. So, let me see if I have this quite straight. You want me, Sir Archibald Fotherington Smythe, renowned archaeologist and peer of the realm.
Some say life is about the journey and not the destination, to which I retort, fiddlesticks and flapdoodle. So, where does that jolly well leave us?
Tell you what, if you'll throw in a couple of cases of that saucy 70 claret, we have ourselves a deal.
There's no need for that sort of thing. Quite uncalled for. That chasm's only a minor impediment, requiring of some good old-fashioned British ingenuity, a trait with which I am most fortunately endowed.
That said, the Romans made a real pig's ear of these corpses. Heads and hands missing, objects and offerings scattered all over the blighted place.
That's right, lads. Put your backs into it. That's the last of those stinking rotters. Good show, good show.
The atmosphere is starting to get to me, just as Rhodes said it might. Then, without so much as a by your leave, they turned tail and headed off.
There! It's the Bally artifact. Damnable things practically taunting us.
This air was last breathed before Chaucer chossed, before the bard barded, and before... whatever it was that fellow the apple actually did. This barrow is different from the other venerable tombs I've had the fortune to grace.
This chap's is the fabled Staff of Ice. Well, the sticky bit at any rate.
Oh, this old thing? Didn't Scarlet gad about wreaking havoc on the ants with it when she was small? This place, Marjorie. This place. It is a veritable cornucopia of horrors, an affluence of primal terrors. To arms, men! We are attacked! We are attacked! To go grub around in some tawdry, run-of-the-mill Roman ruins on a burial mound in the south of France that none of the locals will go anywhere near? To the Nexus! We shall make our stand there! To think the last feet to tread these stones were those of marauding Romans, hell-bent on desecration and the domination of the local populace. Trench 3 is already turning up some dashed interesting Roman ephemera, pottery shards, mosaic tiles, and so on and so forth. Utterly rum show. Varlet, more like it. Ha! Wait, claws? Stay back! Back, I say! We are out of food, water, and, thanks to that traitorous Cur Potts, there's nary a drop of the good stuff to be found either.
We stand before a precipice. Onward! Through the door to nowhere!
Well, I had rather a lot to drink, I will admit that.
Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. Potts! Did you see that, man?
Well, no. I mean, it sounds hateful. I shan't do it.
What are all you ballywell gawping at, eh? Have a look around. What the? They're after the staff of ice. To arms! To arms!
Which does rather lead one to speculate that peoples have been repeatedly drawn to worship here. Although, to worship quite what? One really doesn't like to say. Which is, of course, no great surprise, because, as any scholar worth his salt knows, all of this was under Rome's thumb from about 49 A.D.
Wonders never cease, eh? Yes. Yes, it blasted well is.
You, men, be careful with that crate. It's vital expedition equipment. And so Optatus declares, no more, I say. Levels the top of the mound, builds a shrine and his own tomb, complete with his own physog cast in copper, and has his legionnaires round up the locals, demanding that they worship him as a living god. I say, awful pallor you have there, old man. I know none of us have seen the sun in weeks, but you look really quite dreadful, what? Venerating ancient traditions, burning offerings to the old gods, frolicking, naked, under the full moon, I should imagine.
After 3 long, laborious days, that damned thing's open at last.